All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. We're with you for the next 3 hours. Really good show lined up. There's a ton to get into. Sports Wrap with Derek Togerson continues in a moment. I do want to remind our listeners that we've got great giveaways every hour. We have Rady's Children's Invitational tickets to give away. We'll do that in the 3 o'clock hour. We also have a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland to give away. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour. And we've got tickets for San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow at Viejas Arena. And we'll give those away coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. By the way, J.D. Wicker is San Diego State's athletic director. He will join us at 4 p.m. Jim just mentioned it in his update. I want to get the reaction from Derek as he continues to react to the story after talking to Darren, and from Jim as well. So Brady Hoke retiring, and J.D. Wicker will join us in an hour. Obviously, when you think about Brady, Jim, how he completely turned around the program, right? I mean, before Brady Hoke, before he got here first time, San Diego State football hadn't won in over a decade. I mean, they didn't have a winning season in over a decade. So for me, Brady's legacy is secure. This has not been a good year, but his legacy at San Diego State is a significant legacy. And also, I would say this, moving forward, this is a really good job. Outside of the Power Five, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better job than San Diego State in terms of resources, location, facilities. So I think San Diego State's in a really good position moving forward. I think Brady Hoke did a really good job. When you go back to his initial time at San Diego State when he got here in 2009, and it's going to be fascinating to see what they do in the coming weeks.
It will be. You look at this job, you look at San Diego State, you look at the facilities, you look at Snapdragon Stadium. What's happened the last couple of years, I feel like it's time. It's time for change. It's time for improvement, because what you were seeing on the field, the on-field product, was getting worse and worse. And with the standard that San Diego State has had here, making 13 straight bowl games, not having a losing record since 2009, a $300+ million brand new shiny Snapdragon Stadium, this is not a standard that you want to have. No, the stadium is at best 60% full. You need to have a jolt of energy into the program. You need to have new life into this program. So I think, with the announcement today from Brady, it all feels like, yeah, it's time. It's time for a change. It's time for new. It's time for something, better, because right now the direction of the program was not going in a way that Aztecs fans were happy with. All
right. So Derek Togerson, NBC7, is with us. I know you've been reacting to the story. I know you've been with Darren as well. When you think about where San Diego State is right now, I mean, again, where they were before Brady Hoke, his first time around, to where they are today, I think it's night and day. What do you make of today's news, and where do you think they could be heading in terms of what's available to them? And again, J.D. Wicker will join us, but where do they look now that they've got more resources today than they would have had 15 years ago when they hired Brady Hoke initially?
No, I remember the Chuck Long days. Those were dark days. They were very, very bad, very bad days. And you're right, Brady Hoke did turn the program around, which was fantastic. And then Rocky Long kept it going. And now it's just, as you said, Jim, it's time, because I think Brady is a fantastic football coach. I think right now, given the way that football is played in 2023, he's probably not the right guy to be a head coach. Offensive football is a very different animal nowadays. You can't simply win by smoking everybody else on defense. And I think actually the defense this year has probably been hindered because they don't see tempo that you see every day in practice when you see it from everybody else that you're playing every day, every weekend. So the defense hasn't even been as good this year, because I think they're simply not being prepared by getting a look at the types of offenses they're seeing week in and week out. So it's just something just kind of has to change right now. I'm not sure this is a fantastic job outside of the Power Five.
Well,
where's the NIL money coming from?
So the primary reason being
NIL. If it's, and this is what I don't know. I honestly don't know this. It's like a chicken or egg argument. Is the NIL money not there because the program is not exciting, or is the program not exciting because the NIL money is not there? If you bring in somebody who's going to be, light it up, go up and down the program, they start putting some rear ends in the seats, it becomes a more enjoyable product to watch. Does the NIL money come, or is just, hey, it's San Diego State, it's simply not going to be there? Because if you don't have that NIL resource nowadays, you can't compete in college football. I don't know if it's a great job if you're not going to have wonderful NIL resources. And I don't know if NIL resources are coming unless you get somebody in here who can convince people that this program is on the up.
All right, a couple of things we have from earlier today. Brady Hoke with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This was Brady Hoke, his first media interview after announcing to his team this morning that he'd be stepping away at the conclusion of the season. Rich asking him essentially how he's feeling about this decision.
Well, very, very emotional, in a lot of ways, because, you think back of all the teams that you've coached and the thousands of young men that you've been part of their lives and, hopefully help them, understand life and what the real world is. And so, that part of it is always, and the one thing, Rich, we're going to do, we're going to finish this thing. We're not, we're going to finish out the next 2 games, and that's what Aztecs do. And so we're preparing for San Jose, and we'll go out and practice and get ready to go. But it's, there's things that, we're really proud of. Obviously, 12 wins here 2 years ago. The most wins in any season is kind of a neat thing. That was a great football team, and especially when you look at that football team and playing up at Carson for 2 years. And, those seniors and how they led and how they did a great job. But all of them, there's special things about every class, every, I'm getting texts from guys that I coached a long time ago at Western Michigan and have been, part of our lives, and we're really touched that they've been part of our lives.
So that was Brady Hoke. Let me say this to Derek's point, and you could be spot on, and we'll talk to JD about what role NIL is playing and where San Diego State is positioned, because JD will join us coming up at 4 p.m. But I am also thinking about where the Mountain West is today, guys. You're likely headed for a collision course of Air Force and UNLV in the Mountain West Championship game. Air Force with no NIL resource, no transfer portal resource, that runs a system offense that they've run for 100 years. And UNLV, a program that for 25 years has been irrelevant. So listen, UNLV's got a nice facility. San Diego State's got a nice facility. Maybe NIL's playing a role, but to go from nothing to something overnight leads me to believe that San Diego State, again, when I compare it to a UNLV or an Air Force or other schools within the league, I think San Diego State is very well positioned. We're going to find out. We'll see what type of hire JD Wicker is able to make, but I would think he's feeling pretty decent with the resources he has, Jim, that he wouldn't have had previously because of the new stadium.
Of course, the where the program is now with the facilities they have in Snapdragon Stadium, it's better than what it was a couple of years ago. No doubt about that. But to Derek's point, yeah, NIL has played a huge role in college athletics. And it's, for schools that don't have a good NIL program, it's hurt them. For schools that have really good NIL deals, and it's made them almost like powerhouses. But I view this job as not this like amazing job. I feel like it's a good job to have, but I also feel like the next coaching hire is probably, you could argue, the one of, if not the biggest coaching hires of importance in, definitely recent program history.
They haven't made a hire since 2009.
And by recent, I mean like the last couple decades.
I mean, they haven't hired in basketball, right? I mean, think about it, Derek, right? I mean, basketball has been 2 coaches, an assistant for a head coach, and Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher, and football has been, Brady brought Rocky here, and then Brady came back. I mean, do you see it that same way, that this is a critically important time and hire for JD Wicker with the new stadium and the changing college football environment?
Yeah, it's weird because we still don't know what NIL is going to look like in 2 or 3 years. We don't know what the college sports, we don't know if the NCAA is going to exist in 2 or 3 years. We don't know what conference the Aztecs are going to be in 2 or 3 years. We don't know if there will be conferences in 2 or 3 years. So it's a very interesting time to have to do this because you got to find an offensive type of coach. You got to find some kind of excitement and generate energy around this program. But it's really hard to find somebody who's going to spearhead that effort when you don't know which direction you're going. But with the NIL stuff, you can have all the resources in the world. Look at Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. They flooded that thing, and he couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. They got all the talent, but you couldn't do anything with it. So now you're walking the other side of the line with San Diego State. You don't have a whole lot of money to get these players. You got to find a coach who can really take some of these guys and polish the diamonds and make them into a really good program. So it's going to be very hard to find somebody who can have the vision to see what's going to happen on the NCAA landscape in the next 3, 4, 5 years, deal with whatever conference or lack thereof the San Diego State's going to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then still find and convince players to want to come here who are good enough to come here and truly compete. It's a very important hire, yes. How you convince someone to come in here and deal with this many question marks, I have no idea.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing it the exact same way as others, but like, I can't be sold that like FAU or Liberty or Fresno State is a better job than San Diego State. So from a group of 5 perspective, I'm not saying Power 5. I mean, this
Liberty's
isn't
in the top 25. Liberty is a private Christian school who has all kinds of resources to throw everywhere. Liberty seems like a
San
little bit
Diego
better
State
job
can't have
right
the
now.
success of Liberty because they have more money. And by the way, the reason San Diego State's 3-7, it's not because of NIL, is it? I mean, the reason San Diego State's 3-7 is
not good.
NIL.
They're just not good. They're not a good football team.
It doesn't have anything to do with NIL. I mean, it might have some things to do with NIL, but I don't think NIL is the overriding reason why they are where they are right now. That's not how when I watch the games, I'm like, man, if they just had that one player they lost to NIL.
Well, the thing that they don't have, the other schools potentially have over them, is the opportunity to get that recruit and use the NIL to push that recruit to come here and use that as like okay, push it over the edge. Boom, we got NIL.
I think we're talking about Power 5 football and Group of 5 football. Like, is San Diego State losing out to Group of 5 programs in the NIL race? Maybe they are, but I don't think that's like the overarching reason San Diego State right now is not having success.
It's not. It's that they have an issue with their coaching and the players, and that right there is the number one factor and why they're not a good football program as of right now. So going into this next iteration of San Diego State football, I think, this coaching hire is extremely important, not just because you have come off of 2 bad seasons, but you are in a brand new $300+ million football stadium. You need to compete at all levels, at the box office, on the field, everything. And they're not doing any of that right now. So whoever they hire, it can't just be, I feel like whoever they hire could turn into a good coach if he's a no-name. But I feel like they need to go out and make some type of splash in order to rejuvenate this program. I don't know what that splash is going to be. I know Darren's talked a lot about Cliff Kingsbury. I think that would be an awesome kind of cool hire.
You're not getting Cliff Kingsbury.
But at the same time, who are you going to get out and go and get that is going to be somebody that the fans can actually be excited about?
So, I got an answer to that. And by the way, the NIL thing, can you get into living rooms at San Diego State? Look at SMU. Before they joined the ACC even, SMU had better NIL resources. They're recruiting in Texas, very similar to recruiting in Southern California. They're recruiting against Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, all these big-time programs that are all around them, just like San Diego State has USC, UCLA, Oregon, the Arizona schools. It's a very similar type of situation. SMU is still winning. They 7-8 wins this year because they have better NIL resources, because they're getting into recruits' living rooms because they have that ability.
Well,
so yes,
why then when SMU goes 7-6 in 2022, why are they what happened with their NIL last year or the year before and they go 7-5?
Who's had
a better decade?
We're 2 years into this.
No, we're more than 2 years into this now.
So and by the way, that's a program also that got the death penalty several years ago and had to work its way back.
Well, it's 40 years ago.
But it still happened. It still has a black stain on the program. The guy you think you have to look at, you're not getting a guy like Kingsbury. You're just not, because he has too many other options. Now, I said this to Darren. How about a guy like Tommy Rees, a guy who's the offensive coordinator at Alabama? He's 31 years old. He is probably a little early to get a Power 5 job. Offensive-minded guy, young, energetic guy. You can find somebody like that who can come in here and be here for a couple of years, because San Diego State, until they ever find out what conference they're going to be in, it's a transitional job. It's a stepping stone job. It almost has to be. So you get a guy like that, generate some interest, restock the recruiting coffers, and then roll your dice after that. I would be shooting for people like that, because you start talking about the Cliff Kingsburys of the world who have coached in the NFL, who are still incredibly young enough to go out and find other maybe NFL or Power 5 jobs. It's just not happening.
Okay, so Jim, in terms of if you're making this hire, forget about the individual names. Cliff Kingsbury, maybe it is a pipe dream, but do you have to be an offense first hire? Like
Yes.
If you're JD Wicker,
Yes.
you're not hiring best coach, you're hiring best offensive coach.
I'm hiring best offensive coach for sure. You've had two defensive minded head coaches for the last decade here in Rocky and Brady. The offense has been the number one talking point amongst fans for the last decade plus. Even through the winning, there has been gripes with every fan about this offense. Okay, even when they win. So going into the future of this program, you need to put butts in the seats. All right, you need to go out and you need to get an offensive-minded head coach. You need to turn this program into an offensive-minded program, because let's just face it, the average fan does not want to go and watch great defense, even though it could potentially win you a lot of football games. They want to go out and they want to watch offense. Offense sells. And in the sport of college football, you need to sell your program. Selling your program to fill up a brand new stadium, and getting an offensive-minded head coach that comes in here and turns this program into the first thing you think about San Diego State is offense instead of defense and special teams. Not the sexiest thing in the world. It could win you games, and it has with this program. But the fan base, I feel like, is yearning for that offensive guy that has a pretty sweet quarterback, can throw for a bunch of yards, can win games 42-38. Like that's, I feel like, what this program needs going forward. And I feel like that needs to be the next hire is an offensive guy.
By the way, John, just double check. July 1st, 2021 is when all the NIL rules did go into effect. So yeah,
so this isn't the second year, it's the third, right?
What's that?
So this would be the third year, right?
We're going into the third year.
No, this is completing the third year. 2021 season, 2022 season, 2023 season.
Yes, including 21.
Yeah,
Yes. So yeah, 3 years in.
Yep.
Well, if NIL is going to completely just ruin,
then
why even play football anymore?
Yeah, it's not. By the way, it's not. There already were haves and have-nots. I mean, maybe it's widened that. There's no question about it, and maybe you can make up some of that gap, like you said, Derek, if you're SMU. But it's not like Ohio State and San Diego State were recruiting the same quarterbacks previously, and they're no longer, and they're still not. So I don't buy that San Diego State isn't a good Group of Five job because Aztec Link doesn't have the same resources as Boise's collective. And I'm making that up. Boise's not good. I mean, Boise just fired their head coach on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Boise, with all this on the blue and all the resources and additional TV and this brilliant collective, I'm making it up. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Like, Boise's having issues winning. I just don't think it's as simple as, well, SMU's got NIL and San Diego State doesn't. And until they figure that out, San Diego State will be behind SMU.
That's because you're naive, because that's how the world works in NCAA right now.
I think you're wrong. Honestly, I think SMU is also heading for the ACC. They've also thrown resources at it that other schools can't. But the idea that in a 12-team playoff, San Diego State can't win because of NIL is not accurate.
No, it's incredibly accurate.
It's accurate. They can't win, Derek. They can't win in an expanded playoff. They can't be the Group of Five They don't even make the hire. You got it all figured out. They don't even need to. Why'd they build the stadium?
Because they won the referendum.
Gotcha. This was a complete political play. They don't want to have football. Is that what it is?
No. And now you're overgeneralizing. Listen, to try and say that NIL does not have an impact, and not just
that's not what I said. I said that's not the difference. That's not the end all be all.
It is, but it kind of is. What do you always do anywhere, no matter what the situation
you
is?
Just said Texas A&M isn't winning. They have more NIL than anyone in the nation.
Because they have the wrong coach.
Okay.
Now you can hire the right coach.
Now the coach matters.
You're right. Exactly. The coach matters. But any coach is going to want, you can take the Texas A&M job or the San Diego State job. Which one are you taking?
Derek, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, come on. Like, you got to be realistic. Like, they're paying their head coaches $100 million contracts.
and they have all the resources in the world.
And they're in the SEC, Derek.
Okay. If you give each guy $50 a month to coach, which one would you take?
Derek, they're in the SEC. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So San Diego State, you said it's a great job.
I said
don't
it's
see
as
it
good
right
of a
now as
job
a
as there
great
is in the
job.
group of 5. I'm not comparing it to Texas A&M or Michigan.
Even in the group of 5, it's still, maybe I have a different definition of great job, but I don't see it being an incredibly desirable job compared to other group of 5 programs. It just, maybe it's recency bias, but I just don't see, when you don't have the kinds of resources or the passionate fan base that other schools have, it just seems like it's kind of a water treading type of position right now.
Derek, thank you. We'll do it again at some point. All right, your reaction to this, 844-570-1360. Again, 844-570-1360. What type of hire do you want to see the Aztecs make? 844-570-1360, 70470 started with team. Am I off base? Is this not a good group of 5 job? Am I off base?
No, kiss and make up.
844-570-1360, 70470 started with team. Plus, they'll never get along, right? The latest with the Padres managerial search next, Jon and Jim. All right. We'll continue to react to San Diego State's Brady Hoke retiring and what's next for the Aztecs. JD Wicker will join us coming up at 3:30. Also, a twist in the Padres managerial search. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by AutoZone. The Aztecs lost over the weekend, dropping to 3-7 on the year. It's their first losing season since 2009. They will not be eligible this year for a bowl game for the first time in 13 years. The aftermath of that, Brady Hoke announcing this morning that at the end of the year, he will be retiring. So the Aztecs will be looking for a new head coach. And tomorrow night, Aztecs basketball gets back in action after they lost to BYU last Friday. Taking on Long Beach State tomorrow night, Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. tip. 6:30 is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, that was a good start to the week. Okay. Maybe I'm off base. I want to hear from people. 844-570-1360, 70470 started with team. Is San Diego State's job that they're about to be searching for in football a good group of five job or not? Comparing it to Texas A&M, like I said 10 minutes ago, and I'll say again, is stupid. It was stupid 25 years ago. It's stupid today. But I didn't say it's Michigan or Ohio State. I said it's a good group of five job.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm not yelling at you. But maybe I'm off base.
Because you're there.
Yeah, because I'm
just there. I'm collateral damage.
Exactly. So 844-570-1360. JD Wicker will join us at 4 p.m. What's that?
I told Jim, get used to it. Wait till you're married.
Yeah, seriously.
Why are you yelling at me? You're here.
Okay, so a lot to get to. Also, the Padres managerial search, twisting and turning.
It's been a month.
It's been forever. But let's go to the phones here if you want to weigh in. 844-570-1360.
Didn't one of you two have like today on our pool?
We both did.
Yeah.
So now we're
There's still
screwed.
time.
Now who's crazy for saying
Good
27?
Good point.
True.
All right, let's go to Dave who wants to weigh in on San Diego State. Dave, you're on with Jon and Jim.
statistical rankings. So it can be done. You're going to have to find the right person that's a complete coach, not just a person that is a coordinator and has no other relevancy to the football side of things. You're going to find someone that can do it all. And not only that, the most important part is, what will the assistant coaches look like? You need to have excellent assistants that can also be recruiting monsters. That's how, if you go back to the success that Al Luganville had, he had a couple of guys that were with him at the time that were just pulling kids out of New Orleans. That's how they got Marshall Faulk. So a lot of this depends upon the assistants as well. And I think that when JD gets on, if he is able to or willing to talk about money that can or will be spent on all of this, because it's going to cost a couple of dimes here, no question about it.
Dave, thank you.
Yeah.
No, it will cost money, but guess what? They've created more revenue than they've ever created. We can talk about the attendance, and that's fair. But Snapdragon Stadium is creating more money for San Diego State than Qualcomm was. It's as simple as that. It's not even close.
No.
It's not even close. And there's other revenue streams outside of San Diego State football that's benefiting San Diego State athletics.
Look, bottom line, whoever they hire, I feel like needs to be somewhat of a name.
Okay.
Because you're
Ryan Day, was he a name at Ohio State?
It's Ohio State.
But you know, I'm saying, okay,
they don't need to go get a name.
Like
it sells the brand.
Chris
itself.
Peterson at Boise, when he went 102 over like 10 years, like, was he a name or did he do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard. I'm with you. I see what you're saying, because it's a marketing. You're in the business of marketing. You need to sell it.
Yeah. This is not just. I mean, the landscape of college athletics is
changed.
So different.
No doubt.
And when it's just plain and simple, you go to Snapdragon Stadium. I've been to a handful of games this year. I think I've been to every single one.
Everyone, yeah.
I've been to every single one. I've gone in every single game. Might not have stayed for the whole game, but I've been to every single game. That place is dead. There are times where it's exciting. Start of the year, the student section is full, but it shouldn't be like this. And so you need something to excite the fan base. You need something to make people want to go to these games. You're not selling for the diehard Aztec fan. They're going to show up, and guess what? They have. Mm-hmm. You're selling for the casual. You need to get everybody into that stadium that is either a casual fan and a diehard fan combined to fill it up. And right now, it's not getting done.
But how? Okay, your point's valid. But how many Deion Sanders are there?
I'm not saying Deion.
Well, then give me how many Cliff Kingsburys are there? I mean, former NFL head coaches.
I'm not saying former NFL head coaches. I'm saying Deion. That's a pipe. That's a pipe dream. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury is a pipe dream, but I know it's more of a doable thing than Deion Sanders.
Sure, but maybe let's all agree that could even be wishful, right?
For sure. But at the same time, if you're going another step down from there, like I don't have a list of candidates in front of me. I'm looking off of what Chris Vanini wrote today.
All right, who are some of his names?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
let me pull this up here.
Because how many of these? What I'm going to ask you after you read them is how many of these are selling tens of thousands of tickets? Tens of thousands over the course of a year.
Okay, so you have Washington offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb
has had a ton of success. Is he selling tickets based off his name? He's going to sell his tickets based on winning, right?
And if Washington goes to the college football playoff this year, you could sell that as, hey, we just went to the college football playoff.
I agree.
And I just coached a top
highly
5 quarterback.
Coveted name, by the way. Yeah, it's a huge name in coaching circles.
Missouri offensive coordinator Kirby Moore.
Okay, again, same thing.
UCLA defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn.
Yeah.
USC Cliff Kingsbury.
Yep, that's a big one, no doubt.
USC defensive backs coach Dante Williams.
Yep.
Oregon State offensive coordinator Brian Lingering.
But you get my point. 5 of the 6 names you just said are not off the bus names. Selling tickets.
Yeah, and that's where there's going to be the weighing of, all right, we need to go out. We feel like we need to go out and potentially get a name, but how many names are really out there that we could potentially get? So I get it. It's not an easy job. You know, JD's not in an easy position right now, but that's what JD's there to do. Is he's there to make sure to get the right guy. But I do think whoever it is needs to be offensive minded. That's a no brainer for me. If we're
we can ask JD that. Like, are you going to hire an offensive first coach pedigree, whether it's a coordinator, a play caller, or are you going to hire what you deem to be the best coach? Because let's say you hired a defense first coach, whomever, but he's able to bring a coordinator, an offensive coordinator with him with clout. Like if you hired, I forget on that list if there's any defensive name, but if there was, what if they brought an offensive coordinator with clout? That defense first head coach.
Danton Lynn.
Let's say Danton Lynn, who played football at Penn State, is a successful coordinator now at UCLA. Let's say he's able to bring, and I'm completely making it up, an offensive coordinator with him. UCLA is not going to happen. Not Chip Kelly.
No.
But, like, is that good enough potentially, or does it have to be an offense first? I think a lot of people agree with you. And I think oftentimes in coaching circles, when you hire one way, your next hire is the other way.
I feel like it always is.
It happens in the NFL all the time.
All the time. When you just fire a defensive coordinator or defensive minded head coach, you go offensive minded.
Right. Absolutely.
Because
I think it'll be offense.
I hope it is.
That's my guess.
I hope it is. I hope it's a young-ish offensive minded head coach.
Okay.
That can bring excitement to this program and to make people, the average casual fan, want to watch an Aztec football game. To go to Snapdragon Stadium and not be the first thing they complain about is, one, the price of tickets, and two, the products on the field. Like, you want people to overlook that they're spending a couple $100s to go to an Aztec football game because it's exciting and it's fun to go to. Right now, you got a double whammy of negative here.
All right. On the other side, by the way, JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, he'll join us at 4 p.m. On the other side, the latest on the Padres managerial search, which is what gets done first. Aztecs coaching search or Padres managerial search?
I think that's an easy one to say.
It should be. It's
although
I think the
Aztecs,
exactly. Aztecs will probably have a couple of weeks because the transfer portal will open up in early December. That's why you're seeing all these changes right now in November. So the latest on the Padres. Plus, coming up on the other side, we're going to give away those Brady Children's Invitational tickets. So be listening. We're about 5 minutes away from giving away a pair of tickets to the Brady Children's Invitational college basketball tournament in San Diego next week at Lion Tree on UCSD's campus. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. We've been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks about Windmill Farms. I'll be over there tomorrow. San Diego State basketball back in action tomorrow for the home opener. Saw Trevor, the owner of Windmill Farms. I saw his family over there at Viejas Arena. This is a great, great place for whatever you need during your work week or your game day needs. They've got you covered. Windmill Farms does. The college area's natural grocer. They've got organic farm fresh produce and meats. But I've been telling you about their sandwich card. If you go there during your work week, pick up a sandwich card. Your 8th sandwich is free. They keep their prices incredibly low. They have high quality ingredients. I go there every single week for lunch, and you should too. Also, get ready for all your tailgating needs, all your game viewing, whatever you're doing. Check it out at Windmill Farms. They've got everything you need for your game day needs. They've got an amazing craft beer selection. I've told you about the deli. I've told you about their farm fresh produce and meats. They're centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard, across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. Family owned, serving San Diego for over 20 years. If you don't live or work near Del Cerro, no problem. You can find Windmill Farms on Instacart and have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. They support local businesses from Harris Ranch to Mr. G's Salsa and more. Visit windmillfarmsmarket.com. There you're going to see their weekly specials. Again, windmillfarmsmarket.com. Shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. All right, in 5 minutes, we're going to give away tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. This is for Championship Friday. Winner will get to see the championship game and the consolation game, the Rady Children's Invitational. Men's basketball right here in San Diego next week. The first ever Invitational is Thanksgiving week, Lion Tree Arena, UC San Diego's campus. 4 elite programs. Holiday tournament promising an unforgettable weekend of basketball beaches and the best San Diego has to offer. Iowa, SC, Seton Hall, and Oklahoma. Tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. We'll tell you when to call. All right, so John Morosi, Jim, has been kind of all over this Padres managerial search over the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Last night saying they're going to make a hire by midweek. And you were like, midweek? And then him this morning saying that Phil Nevin will be a finalist. Whatever that means. He is a finalist for the Padres managerial vacancy, Phil Nevin.
So we were back to 4 because it was 4. And then that same day, Carlos Mendoza got hired to be the Mets' new manager.
Yeah.
And so now we're back to 4 because we went down to 3. You can add Phil Nevin to the list of Mike Schilt, Ryan Flaherty, Benji Gill. So we got those 3 plus Phil Nevin.
There's your list.
We got basically the Angels and the Padres
competing. It's like a tag team.
Yeah. Who will prevail? Who will be the next manager and bench coach duo? Because I feel like that could be a possibility.
True. I just feel like, okay, from a Phil Nevin solely perspective, if you're trying to check boxes, which I feel like the Padres are somewhat interested in potentially doing, he's checking boxes. Former manager, check. Ties to Southern California, check. Former Padre, there's a check. Again, one of these guys that you're not selling to your fan base. This isn't a name that people aren't familiar with.
Well, the fan base definitely knows.
Well, you're selling all these guys. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you're not hiring Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
So you're selling their ability to be your manager. But I'm saying you're not selling this name. This is Jace Tingler or Andy Green.
And I said this last week while you were out. You know, there is a promo of me running on this station. Hopefully, it's not running anymore. But you asked about Phil Nevin, and this was before Phil got an interview opportunity with the Padres.
Oh, yeah, you were like, no chance.
Like, no chance in hell. Like, 0% chance. Not because I think Phil is a potentially horrible manager. I don't know if any of these guys are going to be good or not. I don't know. The caveat of me saying that is, like, it's all AJ. It's all on AJ. And you look at Phil, he's a perceived, hothead at times. Fiery guy. A guy that's going to let his voice be heard. A guy that's not going to take any S in the dugout. Not going to take any S, seemingly from anybody. Like he's gonna make sure that his voice is heard. Will that work with Preller? Well, I don't know, and I tend to lean towards it might work for a while because whoever you hire, it's gonna be roses from day one. It's gonna be awesome from day one. This guy's great. They get along well. It's what happens when you hit the first bump in the road. And when you hit the first bump in the road, we saw it with Bob Melvin, the whole entire car collapsed.
Yeah, but
Jace Tingler, it collapsed. What will it happen when eventually, inevitably, they hit the bump in the road?
Yeah, but what about this? Forget about the Preller aspect. What about that clubhouse? Like, okay, you're bringing in the fiery hothead with a group of guys that we don't know how to effectively manage this team. With Machado, Soto, Tatis, Bogarts, Musgrove, Darvish, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm almost more acutely aware of like, how is this manager going to be perceived in the clubhouse than how is the manager going to work with Preller? And the reason I say that, none of the managers are going to work well with Preller. That's the MO on Preller.
That's true. Yeah.
So who cares if Phil Nevin and AJ Preller butt heads if the same thing could happen even with Benji Gill or Mike Schilt?
Can you imagine the first time that Manny just kind of throws away in a bat?
Well, you're not benching. See, that's the other thing. You can't do anything.
No, you're not benching him. But could you just imagine that scene of, and I don't think it'd be publicly, but just imagine Phil getting into it with Manny?
Not really. I really can't. But then again, I don't know who the right manager is for Manny either. Does he have to be coddled? Does he have to be led by a fiery hothead?
Well, right now in San Diego, he's gone through 3 managers in 5 years.
Manny
has.
And they've been different. Mm-hmm. None of them have been fiery.
No, none of them have.
Maybe that's what he needs.
Maybe. I don't know. But the Phil Nevin aspect of it, I don't fall on the I love it side. I don't fall on the I hate it side. I think it would be a fine hire. It's a wait and see. It definitely, you're right. It definitely is a name that every fan knows.
Yeah, of course.
Because Phil played here for countless years and made an all-star team as a Padre.
Yeah.
So for me, it would check off some boxes that you would want to have for a manager, but also it's like, okay, well, how did he do in Anaheim with the Angels? Not great. And they had a collapse this past year when they went all in and they completely wet the bed.
Right.
Is that his fault, or is it the fact that, you had Trout out, you had Rodon out, you had Shohei blow his arm out? I don't know. You could tend to go on the side of it's probably because all of his star players got hurt.
All right, caller 5 right now. You've got 2 free tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. 844-570-1360. 844-570-1360. Jeffrey, I'm up against it. We're not taking your call and go get Bochy because it's not happening. 844-570-1360. Caller 5, you've got 2 free tickets to the Rady Children's Invitational. Tickets and info at RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. That's RadyChildren'sInvitational.com. On the other side, JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director. What is he looking for in a new head coach? Plus, in hour 2, a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland. In hour number 3, we're giving away San Diego State Long Beach State tickets for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. Hour 2, Jon and Jim next. Holidays are coming, folks. Black Friday is just over a week away. I've got the perfect holiday gift for San Diego sports fans, for Aztec fans. It's an amazing collectible commemorating the biggest moment in San Diego sports history, Lamont Butler's buzzer beater in the Final Four this past April. I still get chills thinking about it, being there courtside in Houston. What an amazing moment. You need to check it out for yourself. Go to butleratthebuzzer.com. Go there right now. Write it down, butleratthebuzzer.com. This is your opportunity to relive a historic moment with a limited edition collectible benefiting Lamont Butler's NIL efforts and the Aztec Link Collective that benefits San Diego State student athletes. Each print is signed by Lamont Butler, authenticated and numbered. These are in extreme limited qualities and quantities. Best of all, you're supporting San Diego State student athletes. Visit butleratthebuzzer.com to see these beautiful collectibles for yourself. And again, once they're gone, they're gone. So this is your one time to do it. A perfect holiday gift that supports San Diego State student athletes. The best holiday gift of the season for San Diegans. Check it out at butleratthebuzzer.com.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start with Aztecs football. They lost to Colorado State this past weekend, 22-19, ensuring their first losing season since 2009. And also, they'll be missing out on a bowl game for the first time in 13 years. The fallout from that, Brady Hoke this morning announcing at the end of the season he will be retiring. We'll talk to Athletic Director J.D. Wicker about the future of the program coming up next. San Diego State basketball coming off of their first loss of the season versus BYU in Provo last week. We'll take on Long Beach State tomorrow at Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. tip-off. 6 p.m. is when our pregame cover starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love celebration is here with incredible offers on exceptional vehicles you're bound to love, like the EQB C-Class or EQE SUV. Find an exclusive offer on a vehicle you'll adore now through January 2nd. Learn more at mbusa.com/special offers.
Getting close to that time. Yep, that time. Quitting time. And there's only one way to handle that drive home. John Schaefer and Jim Russell with 2 games to go. Brady Hoke announces his retirement. Where does the program go from here? And Brian Dutcher and the Aztecs Hoops team get ready for tomorrow night's matchup. Plus, a wild weekend in the NFL.
Hurting under center, a 5-step drop. Now going to pump and throw down the sideline. Kittle! He's got it and he's gone! Touchdown! San Francisco!
Keep feeding the beast.
There it is. Fox the hold. Patterson the kick. It is up and it is good. He got it. That's a victory for the Lions on the final play of the game. And what a game it was.
Now it's time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim. By the way, between now and 6 o'clock, we're giving away a pair of tickets for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. San Diego State back home, Long Beach State, really good early season basketball matchup. We'll have it for you, of course, right here on San Diego Sports 760. We have a pair of tickets to give away. And right now, we've been telling you about it for the last hour. J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, back with us on Jon and Jim, and the home of the Aztecs is Brady Hoke earlier today, officially announcing his retirement. JD, we always appreciate your time, and you know better than I do that Brady's legacy, when you think about where San Diego State football was before Brady got here initially, how do you see Brady's legacy with this football program?
Yeah, one, appreciate the time and always good to join you guys. And yeah, I mean, Brady Hoke, what he's meant to this football program, you know, for those that it's been 13, 14 great years. But prior to Brady getting here, you know, I think 5 bowl games or something like that, and hadn't had a winning season in quite some time. And, you know, Brady shows up and in 2 years, we're playing in the Poinsettia Bowl, beating Navy, having a great year. And he moved on, and, you know, Rocky came in and took it to another level. And, you know, when Rocky chose to not want to be a head football coach anymore, Brady stepped back in. And, you know, I think, you know, people forget he led us through COVID. I mean, COVID was a challenge, and you try to put together practicing for a football game with 115 kids during COVID. It was a challenge, and he led us through that. He led us through playing in Carson with the most successful season that we've ever seen. So, yeah, I mean, Brady's done a lot, and he really takes care of the kids and loves the kids. So, you know, there's a lot to be thankful for Brady Hoke being our coach. Obviously, you know, this season we're, you know, didn't meet expectations, and we're happy about that. But at the same time, you look back, San Diego State, truly benefited from Brady Hoke being our head football coach.
And JD, could you just, for our listeners, you know, with the years remaining on his contract, how is that going to impact, you know, how he gets, I guess, paid out for the remainder of his deal, and also the process of him announcing his retirement today? How did that go with your conversations with Brady, which I assume happened, you know, over the weekend after the loss to Colorado State?
You know, we've been, you know, Brady and I have a great relationship, and, you know, we talk throughout the season, and we've talked throughout the season, you know, every year he's been here. So this isn't a conversation that just started yesterday. This is something that, you know, we've been talking about. And, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, Brady arrived that he was, you know, ready to retire. And so that's where we went. We're working on a package with Brady based on his retirement and based on there being years left on his contract. So, but we don't have the final details on that yet. So when that happens, we will share it.
JD Wicker is with us right now against San Diego State's athletic director. So now, JD, I'm assuming much of your attention turns to the hiring of the next head football coach at San Diego State. Is there a timeline on that with the complexities of portals and windows and recruiting? What's your timeline look like?
Yeah, we're going to move quickly. It's, kind of the new world in which we operate from from the standpoint of college football. You've got transfer portal, you've got the early recruiting period. So it is important to move quickly. Our goal is to no later than, mid-December that we will have named a new head coach. So we're off and running on that process at this point. And, this will pretty much be the last comment on the head coaching hire until we actually name somebody. But I can promise you this, there is a significant amount of interest in this job. It is, arguably the best group of 5 job, and it's probably better than some Power 5 jobs out there, especially with what we've done with the stadium and the investments that we've made in football. And you look at the success that we've had over the last, 13, 14 years, people know that this is a place they can come and be successful.
JD, what's, I guess, the ideal type of candidate for you? And moving forward, is your mindset hire the best head coach or look at a guy that is on one side of the football, either defensively or offensively?
Yeah, I'm not, obviously from, an offensive standpoint, we want to have a team that, plays a little better offensively than we've been playing, and dynamic. That's something that you see across the country now. Still want to be balanced, but definitely want to add some dynamics on the offensive side of the ball. That does not mean that we'll hire a offensive minded coach only. If a coach comes in that meets the criteria that we're looking for, and he's on the defensive side of the ball but has a great plan, knows who they want their offensive coordinator to be, and the philosophy that they have on offense, and that's the way we'll go. The biggest thing is going to be, having the appropriate fit for who San Diego State is, the culture within our building, the culture within our team, that values the student athlete experience. It's not just wins and losses. I realize that's what, a lot of people pay attention to, but for me, it's athletic success, it's academic success, it's life skills success. We're taking, 18 to 22-year-old young men, and we're helping them grow into, being good human beings who are leaving San Diego State with a degree and can go be successful in the rest of their life, whether that's in the NFL or whatever profession they choose.
JD Wicker is with us, San Diego State's athletic director. And again, the search is obviously just beginning, but I think for our listeners, it's interesting to hear your perspective on the search. Does having coached at San Diego State play any role? You just think about the success and the continuity you've had in the flagship programs, football and men's basketball, where it's been Brady and Rocky, Steve Fisher, Brian Dutcher. Does any San Diego State affiliation, is that a part of the process or not necessarily?
Yeah, there's certainly some coaches that are out there that have, spent time at San Diego State in some way, shape, or form. But, it's always good to know, the town, the school, and all those types of things. But, I think somebody who's West Coast, who's had some experience at some point on the West Coast, will be something that we'll look at. But again, it's who's the right candidate.
JD, for you, when we talk about resources to hiring this new head coach, today, would you say that you have better resources than you previously had, because of the revenue that, Snapdragon Stadium has created, and also just the facilities that you're building on campus to help out the football program as well?
Yeah, I mean, we have a $310 million football stadium that is, the best football stadium experience in college football, I'll argue. And it's been very successful, and it's definitely, generating revenue that we didn't have in the past. So yeah, I think this is, and then on campus, we've definitely got some improvements that we can make, but We still have very good facilities for a football program, and excited to show those off to potential candidates at some point.
JD, we always hear about the importance now of NIL from like the student athlete experience in the transfer portal and just in recruiting in general. What role is NIL potentially playing like in coaching hires?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be a question that we'll hear. And we've got, obviously Mesa works mainly with basketballs. Aztec Link is a group that is getting up and running and, focused towards football, but we'll work with other sports as well. And then internally, what we do, having someone that's full-time on NIL and how we help educate our student athletes and try to present them, opportunities on how to take advantage of their NIL. I think those different factors will definitely be key. So yeah, that's definitely something that we'll have to discuss. But we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Will the current, assistant coaches on the staff have the opportunity to stay on staff, or will that be worked out based on whoever the new hire is?
Well, everybody's got a contract, whatever their contract is today will be honored. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily coach here, but certainly hope the new coach coming in will take the time to, spend some time with our coaches and understand who they are and give them an opportunity, just like they're, going to give anybody else an opportunity. We've got a very good staff. This is a staff that's done a good job over the years. And, I think, some guys could potentially have some opportunities. We'll have to see how that plays out.
JD Wicker with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I know it's a conversation we've had a number of times, but Oregon State, Washington State, is clarity coming regarding those two institutions and what it could mean for San Diego State?
Tomorrow they've got a hearing up in Colfax, Washington, which for anyone listening, if you're driving through Colfax, please drop the speed limit. You'll get a ticket. Having spent a lot of time there. But yeah, I think coming out of tomorrow, we'll have hopefully a little more clarity on what, the whole Pac-12 situation works with the, Oregon State, Washington State versus the other 10, which I think could help lead to some clarity as far as, scheduling alliances with the Mountain West or, some other situation. Don't know exactly, but I think tomorrow hopefully leads to some clarity coming in the next week or so.
JD, we have a question over text line that we've brought up to you before, but I'll ask again. He asked, where will San Diego State soccer be playing games next year?
Still working on that. There are, if it's something where we've got a scheduling alliance with Oregon State, that would make, I think, 5 with Oregon State. That'd be 5 schools for the Mountain West Conference, Oregon State. So find another one and we could put together a conference for within the Mountain West. We're kind of, looking at all of those different options right now and trying to figure that out. We're also working on women's lacrosse. The Big 12 is going to start sponsoring a championship in women's lacrosse. So working on a conversation with them as Arizona, Colorado, and I can't remember Cincinnati and the Big 12 all play women's lacrosse. So hopefully an opportunity there for our, women's lacrosse team that's playing their first and only season in the Pac-12 this year.
JD, along with a new head coach, the fan base has been upset, right? The last couple of years with the product on the field, but also, the pricing of the stadium. I feel like that has been something that fans have voiced more recently than not. Last year, opening of a brand new stadium, of course, the prices are going to be high, but the fans are, voicing their opinion about the price of the games. What would you say to fans about the pricing? And is there anything in the future to address those issues that fans have?
Yeah, no, we're actually just got off a call where we were getting approval from our intercollegiate athletic committee, budget subcommittee on football pricing for next year. So, we have adjusted. We've heard what the fans have had to say. So hopefully they will be happy with the adjustments that they see. And yeah, I mean, we're, with the adjustments that we're making, across the board, I'm looking forward to Aztec Nation buying season tickets next year. We're going to need the entirety of San Diego and the Aztec community to get behind this football team and to start, buying tickets and coming to games. So look forward to seeing lots of people in the stadium next year.
JD, before you go, still obviously a couple of football games to go. San Jose State this upcoming weekend on the road, back home for the regular season finale against Fresno State. I know obviously that Brady is retiring, and this team is going to have its first losing season in, it's been almost 15 years or whatever it's been at this point. What are you still hoping to see over the last couple of weeks from this football program?
Celebrate the young men that are, playing, especially the seniors who are going to play in their last game. Celebrate Coach Hoke, and I hope people will show up to show their appreciation of our student athletes and all the hard work that they put in, not just on the field, but in the classroom and, what they do, to be good citizens within San Diego. And then, let's celebrate Coach Hoke and send them out the right way. So 2 opportunities to go get W's, and San Jose State at 4-2 in the league. And I think Fresno's 5-1 in the league. We can have an impact on, who potentially plays in the conference championship game. So I hope we take advantage of that.
Haven't had a chance to talk to you since last Monday night, the opener at Viejas. Just your thoughts on how that night went with the banner raisings, the atmosphere there, everything that went into that night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun to kind of, venture back to Houston and Louisville and Orlando and Vegas and the run to the national championship game. Get what a great atmosphere in Viejas. Appreciate everybody who showed up, and I know the Final 4 rings that everybody got is for coming to the game. That was a lot of fun. People really appreciated that. So, and now we move on. We've got a big game tomorrow night with Long Beach State. Need to rebound from the BYU game. Just something about going to Provo. But looking forward to moving on, and then we've got 2 big games in Vegas this weekend. So the schedule is not easy, that's for sure.
No doubt about it. We're excited for basketball. We're looking forward to this offseason, of course, for football as well. Again, San Diego State's Brady Hoke announcing earlier today he has retired or will retire at the end of the season, and a coaching search underway at San Diego State for the first time really in a very long time when it comes to the football program. JD, we always appreciate your time here on the home of the Aztecs. We look forward to seeing you over the course of the next couple of weeks at Viejas or at Snapdragon, and thanks for doing it today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if women's basketball tips off at 6:00 tonight. So,
nice.
Feel free to swing by Viejas. You can do 2 straight nights of basketball and support the Aztecs. Otherwise, go Aztecs.
All right, JD Wicker. Thank you, JD. San Diego State's athletic director. Always a busy time. Snapdragon Stadium, everything going on in college athletics. There was realignment and now a head coaching hire on the Mesa for the first time again. It has been a while since they've gone outside to make a hire, because from Brady to Rocky, who was already on staff, from Rocky to Brady, who was back on staff, to today. And like you said, having ties to San Diego State could play a role or maybe not. As in, they could hire someone that has previously worked at San Diego State. That's always a possibility.
Yeah.
There's coordinators out there right now. Zach Arnett, Mississippi State's head coach, was fired today.
Yeah.
Former defensive coordinator here at San Diego State. So there's names like that out there. Tony White, DC at Nebraska. There's names like that out there. It'll be interesting to see the direction they go.
It will be. I still land on the you have to try and make a splashy move. I don't know what that splashy move would be.
See, we should ask that, because you said offense, defense. Are you going to think that way? And he said, no, not necessarily. But we could have asked it from okay, regardless of the side that you're going to pick, do you want it? Is the marketing of the program play a role?
Yeah. And I probably should have asked that question. But at the same time, I kind of know what the answer would be. Sometimes you just know what the answers are.
He's not going to be we're only doing it this.
We're trying to hire the next Deion Sanders. I don't think he's going to say he's not going to say that. It's I get people in the text line. You should have asked those questions. Guys, listen. JD's professional. When you ask, it's like talking to people that you know what they're going to say at times. But the one thing that JD did mention there is that, look, he feels like this is from the interest that he has gotten in the first 7 hours of the announcement, has been significant, and you're probably going to see even more, calls and interest from outside the organization, outside the program, to want to come here. And he mentioned that he wants to get this done pretty quickly, mid-December, right? You got to get going for next year, recruiting, everything.
Yep.
So it's a time that I kind of view as the potential to be exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Because you're starting fresh, and you have a shiny new toy to dangle out there in Snapdragon Stadium.
Sure.
San Diego.
Yeah, exactly.
The climate, everything, it's just you can sell this program. It's just a matter of who you trying to sell it to, and if you're trying to go big. And if you're trying to go big, which I would applaud, then I think they have enough ammunition to try and do that.
I think it's well said. And by the way, he said, West Coast roots may play a factor for the hire.
Mhm.
And he also said, hey, listen, this is a better job than some Power 5 jobs. He said it's the best job in Group 5. And again, he's the athletic director, and I agree with him. But I would say this. Houston, before they got to the Big 12, the Houston Cougars hired Dana Holgerson from the Power 5. He went Power 5, Group of 5.
Mhm.
So, it's not crazy to think. The Athletic today, Chris Vanini said, this will be a highly sought-after job.
Yeah.
It's not my words.
Right.
That's Chris Vanini's words.
Mhm.
So he's not paid to write that.
I was a little worried. I'm not going to lie. I was a little worried that there wouldn't be change, that it would kind of just be like, okay, we're going to reset and just try to go back at it again next year. I think Brady making the decision to retire and seeing the writing on the wall potentially, and knowing that, look, I'm not doing this program any good to be here. We're going in an opposite direction. Either I stay here longer and end up getting officially fired, or we have a discussion here and look, it's not working. We just gotta, kind of part ways.
And listen, I understand fandom. I think it's a great thing. It's so much better than apathy. And we all see the things on social media. You've seen all year long about Brady Hoke, and it's in the wrong direction. Right? I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
But I would say this, and I think you agree with me on this, where people don't fully understand. It's like coming into this year, the last 2 years were 12-2, 7-6. When was a change supposed to occur off the last 2 years? If there was going to be a change, it would be now.
It was
because
this year.
They have not performed this year, and that's fair and reasonable. But coming off last year, that's a pretty big reach to be like, hey, we had a school record 12 wins, and now we didn't reach that number, but made another bowl game. But that's still not good enough, and we have to make a change.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You're making a change off that? A year off 12-2? Now, this is different. This has been a down year, and San Diego State, J.D. Wicker, Brady Hoke clearly all recognize that.
Yeah. That's what we said at the start of the year. It was, I was like, look, this season for Brady is crucial.
Absolutely. All the seasons are, truthfully.
They really are. In college football, they are. But coming off of a 12-2 year, you're allowed potentially, I'm not saying that it's okay.
Yeah, you don't have to match it.
But you're not, unless you went from 12-2 to
2-12.
2-12, then you're like, okay, maybe we should do something here and make a change. But you're right, 7-6 bowl game. They win their bowl game.
No, they lost. They were 7-5 going into the bowl game. They lost to Middle Tennessee State and Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway. So no, it wasn't up to their expectations. But I don't think at that point it was reasonable to make a change.
But we knew that this season was going to kind of be a little bit of a make or break for this coaching staff and for Brady Hoke.
Sure.
If you come back this year and you don't do as good or better, most likely, if you don't do better than you did the previous season, then the pressure is going to be on to make a change, and your seat's going to be hot. Well, they kind of flipped the script and went in the complete opposite direction. You're 3-7 now, and you're last place in Mountain West Conference as far as standings go in the division, the conference. Yeah, it's time. With the new stadium, it's time.
And let's see. I mean, to your point, I think it is exciting. I'm really excited to see where they do go with the direction of this hire.
Aztecs fans should be super excited about a new coaching search. This should be something that should get the fan base, I think, excited. Now, it all depends on who they go out and hire.
All right. On the other side, this hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California with Legoland Holidays. They are here. Also, next hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night at VA House Arena. Tickets at goaztecs.com. But coming up next, we will get to the wrap. Trainwreck Radio is still ahead. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, the wrap on the other side, plus your chance to win tickets to see San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night at VA House Arena. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start with the Aztecs football team as they lost to Colorado State this past Saturday. They're now 3-7 on the year, ensuring they're going to have a losing season for the first time since 2009. They'll be missing out on a bowl game for the first time in 13 years. The fallout from that today, Brady Hoke announcing that he will retire at the end of this season. The Aztecs will now be on the search for the next Aztecs football head coach. Moving over to Aztecs basketball, coming off the loss versus BYU last Friday night. They take on Long Beach State tomorrow at Viejas Arena. 7 p.m. tip. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration is here with incredible offers on exceptional vehicles you're bound to love, like the EQB C-Class or EQE SUV. Find an exclusive offer on a vehicle you'll adore now through January 2nd. Learn more at mbusa.com/special offers.
All right, this hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. We'll do that for Trainwreck Radio. Next hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night, Viejas Arena. Ticket to goaztecs.com. Tickets and info. What are you laughing at, Brent? The way I said that?
No, the odd noise that came out of Jim's body.
So,
what just happened?
We are a wreck today. That's just
Dude,
throwing
we
out
are
there.
complete
We're a wreck.
We haven't even mentioned because we start the show.
Yeah.
We're doing the sports.
It's like we go to 0 to 1,000 miles per
Jeez.
hour on Mondays.
What's your wreck about again?
I'm still coming off of I'm not sick anymore.
I'm dying.
But usually when you get sick and then you stop getting sick, it takes a couple days or maybe
definitely
a
take
week
longer.
or so
Yeah,
before you finally get that mucus and all that crap out of your system. Are you legitimately sick?
Here's the issue. It's all because of the plane. So I was at
Why
BYU.
are you here?
Cause, man, you know me, I show up.
Oh, yeah?
Right? Yeah. When do I not show up?
You show up.
I show up, dude. If you say I don't show up because I travel to Provo for a game, you would take a month
joking.
off. Okay. So
John does not want to hear it today, by the way.
I don't. I really don't. But here's the thing. I flew back this morning from Salt Lake City and I'm not feeling 100%. And you know that feeling when your ears don't pop properly?
Yeah, Aaron's dealing with that right now.
I can't hear out of my right ear.
Aaron hasn't been able to hear out of her ears for 2 weeks.
I know. I had that once in college for months, and all of a sudden, I could hear. It was the greatest thing that ever happened.
It's one of those things where it's in
someone
your
give me a suggestion.
Sinus forehead.
Yes,
and you just need to have someone just it feels like you need to pop open your nose and have it all just gush out.
Yeah. Does someone have a real everyone knows you could hold your nose and blow, but you could
you can hurt your eardrums.
Definitely temporary.
And I am actually okay. You got off the plane. And then your ears were clogged?
From the time I was landing, I'm oh, my ears also.
Because it is bad if you have clogged ears to go on a plane.
Oh, the worst.
Aaron's mom, her eardrums bursted while she was on a plane one time because she had clogged ears and she had to go to the emergency room because her eardrums bursted.
What?
Yeah.
How would I know if that happened to me?
You would be in severe pain.
Yeah, I'm not in no pain. I just can't hear.
So you're okay.
First time I ever flew out here for vacation, I couldn't hear for 3 days.
Yes, you know that feeling.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just kind of.
And when it finally breaks out.
I just woke up one morning and I could just hear.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is you kind of walk around like this because you don't know what your volume control is because you can't hear. And everyone's stop yelling.
Does this someone just, I feel like someone has, if someone knows how to fix this, if you're a doctor, an ENT, we can swing by the office or 844-570-1360.
Can you open up John's,
Please.
I guess, ear
I would
drum
go to an
passage?
ENT, but
just go to a urgent care. You're like a regular there.
I seriously am. Oh, that's true. I had a heart attack the other day.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, we have a handful of minutes. Let's get to it.
Do you guys agree with Jim Harbaugh, who says Michigan should be America's team since they had to overcome so much adversity?
Give me a break.
Did you hear the Stephen A. take on this?
A
Stop being a victim.
You're not a victim. You're Michigan.
You cheated. I mean, I'm not saying other teams don't do it, but I did it for you, coach. You saw the whole balling assistant coach.
Oh my God,
guys, you beat Penn State, who you were favored by 5 points to beat. You didn't win the national championship.
You didn't overcome all the. Here's it would be one thing if they lost their starting quarterback, their starting running back, and their starting defensive end, and they won the game at Penn State. That would be overcoming adversity.
If they were 30-point underdogs, not this miracle win.
Am I saying Jim Harbaugh is important? Yeah, he's important.
Of course he is.
Of course he's important. But you're still rolling out the same players you would have rolled out there if Harbaugh was there.
And like we did it in spite of that. Like guys,
like let's be real here. What really does Harbaugh do on game days that's like that impactful?
Not a play caller. I would guess fourth downs, decision making
on fourth downs and those types of things. Course. And what, like, hey, if we're benching a guy or whatever. But you're Michigan. You're one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah.
You have your backup running back could be a starter on any other team in college football.
Their running backs are good.
Your defense is loaded. You have a potential first or second round quarterback on your team that doesn't even throw the football.
They ran 32 consecutive plays.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh missing games, it makes a little bit of a difference, but you're still rolling out the same players.
America's team.
And honestly, it probably gave them even more motivation getting Jim Harbaugh out of there.
I agree.
So at the same, it's a joke, dude. Give me a break. I don't agree with it. Harbaugh is funny as hell listening to his press conferences.
It's
but
comical.
It is, yeah.
Doesn't matter. Everyone thinks they're America's team these days, anyways.
Yeah, I know. Did you think? What do you don't agree with Harbaugh, right?
Okay. Michigan's not America's team. Next question.
No one is.
What type of coach would you like to see the Aztecs hire?
Offensive-minded head coach, preferably on the younger side. If they can't go out and make a splash hire like Cliff Kingsbury, then I would like an offensive coach from a program that is offensive minded and has really good success calling plays and is potentially a name.
Can I give you a name that I saw like in a message board?
Oh yeah.
It's I mean, again, this is way unconventional, kind of in that Dion thought process.
I don't know.
Philip Rivers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say someone else.
No, I mean, I'm not saying hire him. I'm saying it would be interesting, like, if you called Philip, who's been coaching high school football, who spent, a decade and a half out in San Diego, like, is he interested?
I thought you were going to say, because you mentioned to me during the break, Eric Weddle.
Eric Weddle was mentioned off the text line.
Okay.
But again, he's only been coaching high school football, I think, for a year.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a bit of a stretch. But, like, the name, like, what is the clout of Philip Rivers in a living room?
Remember you sent me a tweet. It was like, you know what? Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, he's won 6 straight games, but they got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
I know he's won 6 consecutive games. Like, I mean, what he's done, by the way, is ridiculous. What they're doing right now is incredible.
Yeah, I saw the other day. Who they say that would be the coach of the year? I forget, but
it's Kevin O'Connell, right?
It's got to be either Kevin O'Connell or D'Amico Ryan.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. Those two guys 100%. Are easily up for the coach of the year. Anybody else? You're
the
wrong.
O'Connell stuff with Dobbs is incredible. It really is incredible.
And Dobbs looked really good yesterday. And they're going to be
a tough out
potential playoff
team.
I
think so. I think they will.
I mean, if they get to 10 wins this year,
then they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Next question, Brent. Who's calling?
And what they say that makes you shake your head?
What's the problem?
They should have hired Don Coryell to be head coach. And I informed him that he's been dead for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
he said,
great hire, guys.
And he said, hire his son. I go, is he even a coach? And
yeah. Just name only.
Yeah, I think that's the bare minimum of like requirements. You have to be living. All right, next question. Jeez, Jim. Are your Niners back?
Are the Niners back, Jim?
Are they back?
That's a nice win.
That's a good win. That was a hey, you forgot about us win.
Yeah.
Like
they were kind of due for that. Let's put it all to the side.
We are not leaving, guys.
Yeah.
We're still here. The only issue I have is when they have an injury, they seem to crumble.
Yep.
You lose Debo and you lose Trent Williams for 3 games. You go 0-3 and you can't score more than 70 points on offense. And you're at full strength this year. You're 6-0 and you're dominant. The last 2 games they've been full strength. They've beat the Cowboys by 40 points and they beat the Jaguars by 30 points. It's not going to be that good all the time. It's how you deal with adversity. And when guys go down, can you still overcome? So that's a little concerning on my end, is that they have to be fully healthy to be the best team. It's just when they have an injury, they seem to crumble.
They're going to be a tough out. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, nobody wants to play them in the postseason if they're healthy. They could absolutely get to a Super Bowl and win one. That's the truth. So I don't know if they ever went away. They lost 3 straight games, but at their best, they're among the best.
And finally, their defensive line actually showed up yesterday, and they beat a really good football team that had the longest win streak, or one of the longest win streaks.
They have 5-game win streak.
5-game win streak. Yeah.
Tied for the longest in the NFL.
Okay, tied.
with
Yeah.
Minnesota.
So on the road, 10 a.m. start. And they came off their bye as well. The Jaguars. That was not an easy game yesterday.
I know.
They beat the crap out of them.
All right, quickly, Brent. Final one.
Is tomorrow a must-win for San Diego State against Long Beach State?
Yes.
No.
But yes, you
Yeah,
can't
and
lose
Long Beach
tomorrow
State's
versus Long Beach
tricky,
State.
man. They just beat DePaul in Chicago.
Of course,
I watched it
This guy
in Utah.
Well, you know what? It's a must win.
It's yeah, you got to win.
You can't lose.
But it won't be easy. Okay. On the other side, call
game.
right now.
They're playing like the YMCA team. It's not gonna be easy.
Call right now if you want a 4-pack of tickets to Legoland, California. First 2 callers will be our contestants. This is Legoland Holidays, by the way.
Ooh, I love Legoland
seriously,
Holidays.
what is this valued at? 4 tickets to Legoland?
You can go buy the new Avengers Tower at Legoland.
Right. Do you know what this is valued at? Seriously. I mean, it's hundreds of dollars. 4
Holiday?
tickets to Legoland?
Bro.
Hundreds. 844-570-1360. Legoland Holidays is here, presented by the Hallmark Channel. Celebrate November 18th through January 7th with festive characters, shows, food, snow, and more. Visit legoland.com/California for details. 844-570-1360. First 2 callers will be our contestants for trivia. Trainwreck Radio, that's next on Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it is Schaefer. I've been telling you now for weeks at this point about how expensive it is to live in San Diego. You already know that. San Diego routinely listed as the most expensive city in the U.S. So with the year almost over, do you need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today because their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20, $50, $100,000 even in as little as 5 days. You've got a ton of equity in your home, and Loan Pronto can help you turn that equity into cash. You can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards or pay off personal loans. Maybe you want to start a home improvement project like adding solar panels. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact so your 3% rate is protected. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. You can get your money super fast. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards before the new year. Get yourself on solid financial footing before the year ends by calling Loan Pronto now. 619-207-4336. Write this down, 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. All right, we don't have one pair of tickets to San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night. We have two. We'll give them both away in the 5 o'clock hour. So chances to win tickets for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. Also, we'll get back to the Padres managerial search. Like, are they just going to search? It'll end at some point, right? John Morosi saying middle of this week. Jim then saying middle of this week, question mark. So hopefully the Padres will have a manager this week, and Aztecs are going to have a head coach by the middle of December.
The Giants, or at least it's been first reported, the Giants hired Bob Melvin on.
Oh, really?
On the 20th.
They hired Bob Melvin, the Giants?
No. I'm just saying,
bro,
like,
do you have the breaking news sounder?
I hate you.
No, what do you
He's
mean?
not with the Padres anymore?
I'm just giving you a time.
Time.
Like,
that is a while.
It's been a while.
That's a long time.
It's been a while.
Well, they announced it the 20th, which means they knew 17th or 18th. Or
it was announced by like reporters, and then it was officially announced by the Giants.
Okay. So
on the
announced by
25th.
reporters the 20th. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that was the day. It was like, oh, Bob Melvin and the Giants are talking. Okay, this
Oh,
one's
it's
over.
done. It's done.
Yeah.
And we were right. Okay. Pairs of tickets for San Diego State tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. The latest on the Aztecs head coaching search, the Padres managerial search. Right now, let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Greg and Shay. Greg, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'm going with John.
All right. Thank you, Greg.
All right, Shay, you get me, okay?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, Brent, what's today's question of the day?
All right, guys, this will make sense in a minute. Today's question. Michigan has had 6 football coaches since 1969.
Wow.
Name them.
Isn't that crazy?
So we're
Just
looking for the
6?
6 football coaches at the University of Michigan since 1969.
Okay. Shay, you're up first. What is your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, off the rip. He's on the list.
He's going to be on the list.
Yeah. even though
By
he
the
might
way,
be-
these have to be full-time head coaches.
Yeah,
Don't
not-
give me whoever coached yesterday or
Right.
2 days ago.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Full-time.
Yeah. Greg, you're up next. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Lloyd Carr.
Lloyd Carr.
Yep.
Good guess.
Oh, I'm screwed.
Shay, you're up next. What is your second guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
I know Brady Hoke.
Brady Hoke
Brady Hoke.
on the
Yeah.
list.
Good job.
All right, Greg, you're up next. Your second guess. What do you got? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Mike Hart.
Mike Hart, former tailback.
No,
No,
no.
Come to me.
Yeah, Shay, you could win it right here with a correct answer. You do have your lifeline. What do you got?
I need that lifeline.
Jim, Mr. Michigan.
Mr. Michigan Man.
Mr. Go Blue.
Bo Schembechler? Do you take that?
Bo Schembechler.
Shay?
I'll take it.
Yeah, he's the starter of it. Yeah, wow, look at Jim.
Boom!
Nobody covers the Big Ten more than Jim Russell.
Michigan Man through
Especially
and through.
69 through
I
like
bleed
88.
blue.
Total inside when Jim said that.
Yeah, the way you
me
said
and
it.
John looked at each
Like,
other and
what?
like, what?
Okay,
He
so
just-
where? Okay,
He just pulled that out
the
of his
other
what?
two. So wait, Schembechler, Carr, who won a national championship, Hoke,
Mhm.
and Harbaugh.
Yeah. The 2 other ones have to be a bunch of 2 no names.
One of the one before Hoke,
Oh, no.
Well, one is, but not the other one.
Gary Moeller before Hoke.
Gary Moeller.
No, Moeller was between Schembechler and Carr.
Okay, so back in the day.
Yeah.
Who's before Hoke? Oh,
There's-
Rich Rod.
Rich Rodriguez.
Rich Rodriguez.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are your 6.
Yeah, that's a fun name to say.
Never guessed that
So
one.
6 since 69.
That
That's
good?
54 years.
Well, the Aztecs have had 2
Two
since
since
09.
09.
I mean, that's a,
Basketball, I've had 2 since 99.
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good.
That's true. That's true. All right, congratulations to Shay because you have won tickets to Legoland California 4-pack. Legoland Holidays is here, presented by the Hallmark Channel. Celebrate November 18th through January 7th with festive characters, shows, food, snow, and more. Visit Legoland.com/California for details. All right. In hour 3 of Jon and Jim, back to the Padres managerial search, the latest with the new candidate. Back to the Aztecs head coaching search with Brady Hoke announcing his retirement today. JD Wicker joined us earlier, by the way. If you missed it, sportssd.com. Also, 2 pairs of tickets to give away to San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. We'll give away a pair on the other side of this break, another pair in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Hour 3, Jon and Jim, don't go anywhere. It's next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start with the Aztecs. This past weekend, they lost to Colorado State 22-19. They fall to 3-7 on the year, ensuring their first losing season since 2009. The fallout from that, Brady Hoke this morning on Big Rich TD and Fletch announced that he will be retiring at the end of the season. Aztecs basketball back in action tomorrow night versus Long Beach State, 7 p.m. tip-off there. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage officially starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Monday Night Football tonight between the Broncos and Bills, about 15 minutes away from kickoff there in Buffalo. The Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration is here with incredible offers on exceptional vehicles you're bound to love. You're bound to love, idiot. Like the EQB C-Class or EQ SUV, find exclusive offer on a vehicle that you'll adore now through January 2nd. Learn more at mbusa.com/special offers.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. Here's what we're going to do. In the next 10 minutes, we're giving away San Diego State tickets for tomorrow night, Viejas Arena, Long Beach State in town. Very tricky opponent. I know I say that about everyone. Long Beach State's good.
Okay.
They're flat out good.
You know who's also good? San Diego State.
They
even
are.
though they lost to BYU.
No, they are. You're right. San Diego State should beat them. They need to beat them. But this is a good game, is my point. Look at it this way. Long Beach State is picked higher in the Big West than Cal State Fullerton. And Fullerton gave the Aztecs a game for half.
So maybe Long Beach State will give San Diego State a game for like half of a half.
No, even more than a half because they're better than Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
So in 10 minutes, we'll give away tickets for the Aztecs against Long Beach State. Tomorrow night, Viejas Arena. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. Go to goaztecs.com for tickets and info.
Real quick before we get into the Padres managerial search, we haven't talked about it because it happened Friday night.
Okay.
But the Aztecs lost to BYU. Obviously, you were there. Duh. You called the game. Duh. But
Right.
You got a lot of TV time, by the way.
Did I?
Oh,
On the
yeah.
actual on ESPN Plus?
I actually
Yeah.
didn't watch a second because it was on
Soccer.
ESPN Plus
You don't have ESPN
and the Big
Plus?
12 network. Instead, I listened to the entire broadcast on the iHeartRadio app.
Wow.
So I listened to John the entire night in my house cooking dinner.
Thanks, dude.
I
You're
didn't.
welcome.
I didn't notice you, and then at one point, Fletch goes, "Oh, look, there's John," and then we could not notice you the rest of the game.
There I was.
You're always
Yeah.
behind the coach.
Well, first of all, we're going to do an Aztec Rewind later this hour. Although I guess we'll talk more football there than basketball. I thought San Diego State, considering the circumstances where they never win there, I thought they played really well.
4-31 now.
Yeah, I mean, it was 57-56 with 5 minutes to play.
I started to get excited when Parrish
Oh,
hit the
he
three,
hit a three, then he was the and one.
and then it was an and one,
Yeah, I
and
was
you're
like,
like,
they're going to
oh,
Mike
it's
and
a
Parrish
2-point
is taking over.
it's a 2-point game now.
And that's as close as they would get. That was
Yeah.
with 5 minutes left. I thought they were, listen, it's a tough schedule. It's even tougher when you play great teams out of the gate.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to be polished to play on the road like that.
Mhm.
And I thought they were, and they were without a couple of players. Darian Trammell returned.
He only
So like, it was
played
his
like
first game,
I think-
20 minutes,
Yeah.
18 minutes.
I don't know how many
I
points.
forgot what it was.
He only had 3 points though, right?
Yeah.
And it was that 1-3 kind of off balance.
I think he
you
scored.
said?
I think he had another basket in the second
He
half.
did?
I think he had
Maybe,
5
maybe
points.
at the end of the game.
Yeah,
had
I
a
think he
bucket.
did. I
At
think
the
he did.
very end of the game. But
They got a tough schedule.
yeah, they do. They do. I don't think that the final score, like BYU at the end, kind of pulled away. But who was that guy that just was unstoppable for BYU? It was like a 26-year-old. What was his
Oh
name?
gosh, they have two 26-year-olds.
Which is not fair, but whatever.
Well, he wasn't even that good. Spencer Johnson, he didn't do much, and Trevin Nell, they're both like 26. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll be better off for it. Like last year, they go to Maui,
Yeah.
they lose 2 or 3 games in Maui.
I know.
People were really down on San Diego State in
Yeah.
that moment.
And Lamont made the crucial mistake against Arkansas.
Yeah.
That turnover, that
Such a
foul and
long year.
everything.
It's such
So,
a long year.
Yeah.
You have to get some of those. Like they got St. Mary's on a neutral in Vegas,
Yeah.
and either Washington or Xavier. You got to get some of these, but you don't have to be perfect. You can
No.
drop a couple of these and be fine.
Yeah, and you were without Miles Bird, who played a lot on opening
Yeah,
night
he
versus
did.
Cal State Fullerton.
He did. Yeah.
You know, Darion coming off the bench. The foul troubles are, an issue with the team when they get into foul trouble. They don't have much depth to overcome it. Like they don't have that depth to like, okay, we're not going to lose much here. But
also, elevation makes it tough. But
Yeah.
I would say this. I saw something on social media, and it's very early. Through 2 games, San Diego State's starting 5
is really good.
is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
top 7 nationally in terms of production. What
Yeah.
they're getting analytically is like top 7 productivity.
They started the
from
game
their
out great.
starters.
They started the game out great, 7-0 run. And then they kind of had a lull towards the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And it was a close game throughout the second half until the final like 4 minutes.
And then someone mentioned this real quick, and we'll get to the Padres and the Aztecs, that in 2019-20, when they went 30-2, they got an average of 9 points per game from their bench. Now, last year they got like 30 points per game from their bench, which is ridiculous.
Their bench was amazing.
But it goes to show people like so hung up on this. Well, they're not getting productivity from their bench. Well, they went 30-2 a few years ago without getting scoring from their bench. So I wouldn't get too carried away with bench productivity as of yet. I mean, it's been 2 games.
Look, they went through the same thing last year to where it's going to take them a little bit of time for everyone's roles to just kind of naturally develop so you can tell, who's going to be the go-to guy in crunch time. And, it's going to take a little bit of time for their roles to develop. It's, you can easily just be like at the beginning of the year, okay, you're our scorer, you're this. But once the season starts, it all changed.
No doubt.
It was the same way last year.
Yeah.
All right, here's the deal. Since we're talking about it, why don't we give away a pair right now? San Diego State, Long Beach State, tomorrow night, Viejas Arena, caller 7. They are yours. 844-570-1360. Caller 7, 2 free tickets tomorrow night. San Diego State, Long Beach State, Viejas Arena. Should be a great atmosphere. Game number 2 of the regular season at home. Tickets at goaztecs.com. Caller 7, they're yours. 844-570-1360. 844-570-1360. All right, this is like a choose your own adventure. You decide. We're going to spend the next 35 minutes on the Aztecs and the Padres. You want to talk about Brady Hoke's retirement and what this means for San Diego State with the search? Or do you want to talk about Phil Nevin as a finalist per John Morosi as the next Padres manager?
Let me flip a coin. Ready?
Dude, you're on video. You're not flipping a coin.
Let's go Padres.
Okay.
Let's go Padres.
Let's do it.
And Phil Nevin being announced by John Paul Morosi today as another finalist for the managerial job. I mean, we're coming up on, we talked about it the last hour. We're coming up on almost a month since we found out that Bob Melvin was gone. Okay. I know it didn't become official for a couple of days, but the second that Bob Melvin was granted access to interview for the Giants managerial job, it was over. It was done. So they knew, and by they, I mean the Padres.
Sure.
It's been almost a month. So I'm thinking, like, okay, if the perceived leaders in the clubhouse are Flaherty and Schilt, and if they're the perceived leaders as they have always been, what's taking so long?
Is it the optics that we keep going back to? Like, we've almost lost sight of the fact that we said it was a shoo-in for Schilt or Flaherty because it's taken so long.
I know.
Like, now if they hire Schilt, are we going to be like, oh, that was a shoo-in all along? Or are we going to say it was a legitimate search that took them 4 weeks to conduct?
I mean, you can't. Yes, I guess you have to say that because it's the optics thing, right? Like,
right.
Well, they had multiple interviews with Gill and Nevin and Mendoza and maybe someone else that we haven't heard of,
right?
But it's weird how it's down to 2 Angels guys and 2 guys that are already in the organization.
Remember what AJ Preller said? He's like, listen, we're getting a lot of interest. Highly coveted. Then you settle on these final candidates. So 2 you already had in-house.
Yeah.
And the only 2 you've had from the outside, listen, Benji Gill, I think, is intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's the number 1 managerial candidate out there across the sport.
And then Phil
Nevin wasn't retained. I mean,
yeah, he was.
And I'm not saying it's on Nevin that the Angels didn't win, just like it wasn't on Melvin that the Padres didn't win. But it's not like his resume is so glaring that, it's hitting you in your face. You got to make this hire. Yeah, he's got the ties to the Padres organization. Yeah, he grew up in Southern California. And yes, he's managed. So there's some things you like there. But none of these, to me, Jim, going back to our original point, whether it was Carlos Mendoza, any of these other names, David Ross, none of these names are home runs. All of them have question marks, and all of them will leave us asking questions heading into the offseason.
It doesn't make you confident knowing that there's 4 finalists and they have yet to decide. You would want somebody to kind of rise above everybody else and them and by them I mean the Padres and AJ Preller, having conviction and saying, look, this guy stood out to us so much that we couldn't wait any longer. We had to hire him. So that's the problem if they hire like Flaherty or Schilt. You've had him in the building all this time. You've essentially already discussed with them while Bob Melvin was the manager. Hey, what would you do if you were the manager? Like the back channeling, everything's been going on for a while now. This is not something new where they're talking to each other. They're talking to, Flaherty and Schilt about like managerial responsibilities and thoughts on what they would do if they were the manager. So if one of those guys were hired, I would think to myself, well, then why didn't you just hire him like 2 weeks ago? Like, what took you so long? Were you like, you watched
if that's a good point, though. If they hire Schilt, why didn't they just do it?
You watched The Bachelorette, right? You watched The Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah, sure.
Usually in Bachelor in Paradise, they they couple up.
Yep. And then some new dude rolls in.
Some new guy rolls in or new girl rolls in. And the guy's, if he gets asked out on a date, is like, let me go explore my other options.
Which means they're out.
And if they go explore the other options, most likely, more often than not, that person's out on their relationship. But there are others rare instances where they go on the date and they start making out with this new girl and they realize, actually, I kind of want to go back to that girl. To me, that would not be a good thing if I was the girl waiting for the guy. Same thing I look at Flaherty and Schilt. If Flaherty and Schilt are sitting there, they've already kind of had the feeling of one of us could be the manager. And then you see AJ Preller with two other people kind of testing the waters to try to solidify that the decision to either hire Flaherty or Schilt would be the right one. That would make me feel kind of a little off.
I know. I understand what you're saying completely. And that is all a possibility. This whole search is you have to ask yourself, why is this search playing out in this way? And
like
I go
forever.
back and I go back to something we've said for weeks on end. It's not the job that AJ Preller positioned it to be.
No.
Okay. And candidates that have options see that and realize that. So it's a fine job. I'm not saying you can't win in this job. You can. The Padres can absolutely win in 2024 and beyond. I think it's trickier and harder with the payroll and coming off the disappointment of 2023. But you landed Bob Melvin 2 years ago because of how desirable the position was.
Mm-hmm.
You're not landing the next Bob Melvin 2 years later because it's not as desirable anymore. You're cutting $50 million in payroll from a team that went 500 last year and was fortunate to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why you have these candidates. They got to choose like the best of the rest here. They're not making that splashy hire. It could be the right hire, but they're not making the splashy hire.
No. And it's this time around, it's more about like what the roster looks like next year. The manager does matter for sure. But I want to know what they're going to do with Juan Soto. Got to know what they do with the pitching staff. Because if they end up trading Juan Soto and they fill from within, and you have guys like Matt Waldron potentially making 25 starts next year for you, or Pedro Avila making 25 starts next year for you, that's not going to bode well for you guys. It doesn't matter who the manager is. It doesn't matter if Bob Melvin was still here. The team would still have problems.
Yeah.
If they had no Juan Soto and they had Matt Waldron and Pedro Avila starting a boatload of games for you.
And that's why I don't want to put all the Angels' problems on Phil Nevin. I don't want to put all the Cubs' problems on David Ross. I don't want to put all the Padres' problems on Bob Melvin. But the truth is, it's part of the story.
Yeah.
Part of Melvin's story is 2023. You can look the other way for the Giants. He's had a lot of success. Part of Ross's story is, the Cubs might have overachieved, but they were wildly disappointing in September.
Yeah.
So he's got to live with that. And part of Nevin's story is the Angels went for it in July and woefully underperformed.
And
now
collapsed.
there were factors in there, Ohtani's health
and Trout,
but they
and
completely collapsed.
Completely.
So these are all truthful statements. I'm not saying that's a full indictment on any of those three people, but they're all truthful. And that's what we're going to say going into the year. Hey, they hired David Ross. Hey, I watched in September.
Yeah.
Hey, they hired Phil Nevin. Hey, I watched in August and September.
Yep. Yeah. No, I stand by it. Whoever they hire, to me, at this point in time, of the candidates that are remaining, will be okay.
Yeah. Again, Benji, the thing about Benji is he's the backup quarterback. We don't know. We haven't seen him fall on his face.
Yeah, exactly. They're all, from day one, a downgrade over Melvin.
Have something to prove.
They all have something to prove.
Yep.
Two of them have manager experience. One has success with the Cardinals,
Definitely.
but it was a short-lived success, and he got fired. And
Did you see that? What did I see on social media that someone said the reason he was like ousted was because of his like the toxic work environment?
I didn't
It was
see
just
that.
like a rumor.
Okay.
But like again, why are the Cardinals moving on from their manager that took them to the postseason 3 consecutive years?
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's weird.
Ask yourself the question.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because the Cardinals, they don't do that.
But now we're seeing that if the Padres pass on Schilt, the Brewers might be interested, right?
As a like tandem with Pat Murphy, which would be
interesting.
Interesting
Like,
and
let's
weird.
go with
But
the Padres path.
you know, the Astros today hired Joe Spada, which is kind of a given,
Yep.
like knowing that he was the
bench coach.
the successor to Dusty Baker there. So now you're left with the Brewers, who their managers, said peace out, bye, even though he was not under contract. And then you got the Padres, who let their manager go to the division rival willingly. The Brewers didn't willingly let Craig Counsell go. Craig Counsell just was a free agent.
Yeah.
But they didn't re-sign him. Different with San Diego. They said they didn't want Bob so bad that they let him go to a division rival, which will still never make any sense to me.
And it's even crazier when you understand the historical significance of the Giants-Padres relationship.
Yep.
That has to be factored. Because if it happened again, I'm not talking about 3 titles. I'm talking about a title or a World Series, or the Giants are just better than you for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
If the Giants are better than you in Melvin's upcoming tenure, that's another terrible look for AJ Preller and the organization. You let him go to the Giants of all organizations?
Yeah, it does. It's a AJ Preller special. The amount of proving that AJ Preller is going to have to do to a lot of people it's immense. Like, he's going to have to prove a lot of people wrong this upcoming season. A lot.
Right.
And what, does he care? Probably not. But it's there, and the seat should be warm, if not very hot. And you've yet to make a manager hire. It feels, and I probably could be 100% wrong, but it feels there's potential, maybe second guessing on, should I go here? Should I go there? Because if there was conviction, we would have had a manager by now, I feel like.
Or how many cooks are in the cookie jar? Is it Preller? Is it Seidler? Is it the equity team? Is it Grupner?
Like, what are they waiting for? What is
Wednesday, midweek, per John Morosi?
Right, yeah.
It's not midweek yet.
Because
It's
you had to focus on your roster first, because they made so many roster moves since last week when the GM's meetings were.
All right, at 5:30, we have another pair of tickets to give away for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. San Diego State, Long Beach State. Tickets and info at goaztecs.com. We want to get back into Brady Hoke's retirement coming up as well. Where do the Aztecs go from here with their next head coach of the football program? Michael wants to weigh in. 844-570-1360. Who would you like to see as the next Aztecs football head coach? Who would you like to see as the next Padres manager? 844-570-1360. Michael, thanks for your patience. You're on with Jon and Jim.
Hey, Jon and Jim, how are you guys doing?
Hey, man, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great, man. You guys are the best. I'm just talking about Brady Hoke here just for a minute. I'm kind of sad and happy at the same time. He's part of the Aztec football for a decade and a half. I know I was very critical this year. I wasn't happy with the record. I love the Aztecs. I want them to be perfect every time they play, every down. And I know that's not always possible, but I tell you what, I'm really excited. I think we're going to get some really good candidates for some coaches. I've heard Brian Harsin.
Yep, former Boise head coach.
Yeah, I've heard Ryan Grubb up in Washington. Tony White. There's a lot of great candidates, but I want Brady Hoke to be great, whatever he does in the future, and be a winner like he is.
Michael, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. By the way, I mean, I said this off the top, but we got right into sports wrap, and I just want to say it again. That in today's world, it's all what have you done for me today? Mm-hmm. And two things can be true. You can have a disappointing season and be a good coach. He's one of 2 coaches since '96 to take 3 programs to 11-win seasons. Urban Meyer, Brady Hoke. Perfect season at Ball State. First year in the Big Ten Coach of the Year. 12-2, the most wins in the history of San Diego State happened with the team in Carson. 2 years ago. I get it. It's been disappointing the last year. But Brady Hoke, like his legacy to me is secure in San Diego State. This program was a complete afterthought. They had won 9-win seasons since 77.
Mhm.
And from 09 on, they've had like 10.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I get it. Everyone wants more, and that's a good thing. It's like the Padres win, you want more. That's a good thing. But like, okay, it's been a bad year. I just feel like there's been a lot of piling on Brady Hoke. Like, okay, it's a bad year. Urban Meyer had bad years. Coaches have had bad years. And I just like, okay, he had a bad year, but he's had some good years too.
He's had a really good coaching. Two things can be true here.
Yep.
One, Brady Hoke has had a really good coaching career. And two, it was time for a change. Like that's just how life works sometimes. Like you can have a very successful run in whatever you do, but there always comes a time for needed or potential change.
Sure.
That's how life works, like, you can run your course everywhere. Everybody can run their course. Things don't last forever, no matter how good they are. Look at Belichick. It's kind of feeling like it's run its course.
Sure.
Right. And it's Bill Belichick because he's having a horrible season this year, a bad football coach. And because since they lost Tom Brady, they've gone, gotten worse and worse every single year. No, he's still a really good football coach. He's going to be regarded as the best head football coach in NFL history. But sometimes it's time. And you view it here with San Diego State, it being time for Brady to move on, for the program to move on, for the program to go in a different direction. And that's the case here. So it doesn't matter if he voluntarily retired on his own or got pushed out the door or
it was just a conversation.
Or a conversation with JD where they mutually agreed to part ways, but they're framing it as a retirement. It doesn't matter. The end of the day is that the Aztecs football program will be looking for a new head coach when it's probably time for them to look for a new head coach before this morning. So it doesn't, like, semantics, who cares? They're moving on. Everybody involved, they're going to go find a new head coach. End of discussion.
Yeah, no, I think it's well said. Listen, Brady Hoke's resume, Ball State was awful. He turned him around. They went 12-0. San Diego State was awful when he got here in 2009. He had him to 9 wins his second year. He got the Michigan job from San Diego State. Like, guy coached 17 years.
That's big time.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't end perfectly in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't end the way. A lot of things don't end the way you want them to end.
No, you rarely get to go out on your terms.
Exactly.
Like on top after you win a championship or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's
a tough business.
Rarely happens. Very few coaches in all of sports get to retire on top.
Coaching, radio, like it's not easy.
No.
These things, it's very fickle. On the other side, where do the Aztecs turn? What type of hire do you want to see them make? 844-570-1360, 70470. Start your message with team. Plus, coming up in about 5 minutes, we'll give away another pair of tickets to tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. San Diego State, Long Beach State. Tickets at goaztecs.com. Stay with us. All right. Who should the Aztecs hire? Some candidates to discuss. Plus, we're giving away tickets. San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. That's next.
This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Aztecs, they lost to Colorado State this past Saturday, 22-19. They're now 3-7 on the year. Their first losing season officially since 2009, and they're missing out on their first bowl game the past 13 years. The fallout, Brady Hoke this morning announcing on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch that he will be retiring at the end of the season. No updates on the Padres managerial search, even though John Palmarosi today said that Phil Nevin is now among the leading candidates to be hired as manager. And the Aztecs basketball team back in action tomorrow night, coming off their loss to BYU, their first one of the season. They're taking on Long Beach State. 7 p.m. tip-off at Viejas Arena. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The Mercedes-Benz Holiday Love Celebration is here with incredible offers on exceptional vehicles you're bound to love, like the EQB C-Class or EQE SUV. Find an exclusive offer on a vehicle you'll adore now through January 2nd. Learn more at mbusa.com/special offers.
Caller 6, you've got a pair of tickets for tomorrow night. San Diego State, Long Beach State.
Baby.
Tomorrow night, Viejas Arena, 7 p.m. Tickets at goaztecs.com. We'll broadcast outside Viejas beginning at 3, Jon and Jim. So join us again tomorrow, but call right now. Caller 6, 844-570-1360. You've got 2 free tickets to San Diego State, Long Beach State tomorrow night, Viejas Arena. Tickets at goaztecs.com, 844-570-1360. We'll get to our Aztecs Rewind coming up in a handful of minutes. We're talking about potential candidates. Earlier, and I liked it, Darren's been selling it for a few weeks, and I listened back to his first segment because I wanted to get his thoughts.
Cliff Kingsbury?
On just the San Diego State, hire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's been saying before, I love the idea of it. I like to dream big. It doesn't mean it can happen. We don't know if any of these are going to happen. It can be the most realistic or unrealistic. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But when you think about, what do you want in a head coach, Aztec fans? Is it offense first? Is it big name? Is it up-and-coming coordinator?
Yeah.
Is it former head coach? Is it defense? So is it someone tied to the program? So you say you want a bit of a splash. Yeah. I think Darren's name is a bit of a splash.
It's a big splash.
That's a big splash. Yeah. I don't see it as much as you got to go splash first. I want win first.
Okay.
I want win first, splash second. I think I want offense first.
Yes.
But I'm not completely ruling out like Jim Russell. And I don't disagree with it.
Huh?
You're ruling out defense first candidates.
I think I would.
Like Kirby Smart at Georgia is a defensive coordinator, right?
Sure.
He got hired off a DC job at Alabama.
Okay.
Now, again, it's an extreme. He's at Georgia.
Yeah.
He was at Alabama.
Right. And to anybody out there that says that 0.0% chance of Cliff Kingsbury coming here, well, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, it would be one thing if you never called him. That would be upsetting. If you called him and he says no, okay, that's one thing. But if you never call him, that would be a mistake. That's where the going big part is what I hope JD does.
You want them to exhaust all options.
Yeah. Like, hey, they need to make a list. Big time hires that are obtainable.
It's like a Google document. Is it one
like
document?
Like an Excel sheet
with different tabs? Like,
yeah.
Offense first.
Defense.
Splashy. San Diego State ties.
Yeah. Kind of out of the box thinking.
JD,
hires.
are you listening to this? You need an Excel. Google Excel Jim says open up Google.
Yes.
But the Excel version.
And then also, if you wanted to just share it with us, that would be great.
Yeah. You can hit the share and just type in our Gmails.
Type in our Gmails and we'll be good to go. Perfect.
Yeah.
But the clicks, what I want to call him Cliff Kingsbury.
I hope they do not hire him for you.
I hope they do. Cliff Kingsbury.
You can't say his name.
Dude, this past Saturday.
What'd you mess up?
I kept on calling the pregame show the Aztecs march off to kickoff.
Oh my gosh.
I
was wondering how you did.
It was so bad. And I was also like still dealing with some coughing problems. And I was like, this is really bad.
Okay,
anyway,
so other than Cliff Kingsbury. And again, it's hard because college is so vast. I mean, it's so vast.
Right. You have
it's not like Major League Baseball. Like, these are the three candidates.
You have former head coaches at coordinator positions everywhere. But I think just the idea of Cliff Kingsbury is where I would want to go. And it doesn't hurt to make a phone call. Like, if you get rejected, you get rejected. If you don't try, you'll never know. And that's where I think this Aztecs program is at.
So swing big.
Yes.
And see if you can land a big fish.
Yeah. If JD, who was on with us earlier today, truly believes what he is saying about this program and potentially being one of, if not the best positions open for head coach in the group of five, also potentially some of the Power Five conferences as well with potential coaching vacancies, and the facility of Snapdragon Stadium being one of, if not the best facilities in all of college football, then with that in mind, if you're saying those things, then to me, that signals you're going to have to go swing big and that you're thinking of swinging big as well.
Look at it this way. Going back to our initial argument, and by I mean my argument with Derek Togerson earlier, when Derek's like, they're nowhere near the top of the group of five in terms of jobs. I mean, am I wrong that San Diego State was the number one candidate in the group of five when the Pac-12 dissolved? Were they not? Have we not heard that? They were the first call the Pac-12 was going to make once they had a TV deal.
The press release ready to go.
So, yet San Diego State's the 25th best group of five job. San Diego State has this going for it. Southern California, recruiting hotbed, facilities, winning. Resources. They got more money than they had previously. Revenue because of Snapdragon Stadium. Location. It's like, I get it. There's other jobs where you can be successful. Boise's been wildly successful over the years. They've had hard times recently. There's other programs now that are having success. I understand it, but I'm just saying, if there's 60 programs in the group of five, San Diego State's right there. You could say, of course, one job is better than another, but I'm saying among the 60, with the right coach in the right time, and that's why, like, The Athletic leads an article saying this. You've heard this line about San Diego State football. There are those that believe, Bruce Feldman wrote this, there are those that have routinely felt that San Diego State football is a sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't always love that term because I feel like San Diego State's been really good the last 15 years. But the point is they have everything necessary to be successful.
Yeah.
Everything.
And when you look at a potential name like Cliff Kingsbury, and if your worry is he won't be here for long, so what?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
It's so what? You want to win now. You want to have excitement now. You want to bring this program to a level that you expect it to be at. You want to make sure that every Saturday and some Friday nights, Snapdragon Stadium is full. Okay? It's not going to get it done with playing it safe. It isn't. You sometimes have to take swings, big swings, and if you miss, you miss. But you have to continuously take those big swings if you want to put yourself in a position where you think you are and you're talking a big game. So go out and be about it. Go out and make that big swing, make that big hire. If that person leaves in a couple years for an SEC job or a Big 10 job or wherever the case may be, Big 12, so be it. At least you go out and you can potentially get your program to a level that you're talking about it. You're saying that your program is one of the best in the country, not just a group of 5 school. Go be about it. Go take a big swing. Go land a big name. Do it.
Brent, do it. Hit the button.
Do it.
Taking a look back at the Aztecs.
Work back. Hit as he let the ball go in the air. Intercepted. Intercepted on the down ball. Downside of the ball coming on down.
This is the Aztec Rewind. Brought to you by Windmill Farms, your natural food market located in Del Cerro.
Butler fighting for it. Could have been a tie-up, no call. Now Saunders goes for the steal and has it. Saunders streaking ahead, stuffs it with 2 hands. It's a 1-point game.
Who's
All
that?
right, that was me Friday night in Provo when I was initially just only slightly sick. Now I'm more sick, I think, but I'll be good by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so 74-65 loss.
I'm just laughing at you. Oh yeah, I'm sick.
I don't know, dude. My
It's
wife.
like, oh no,
makes
I
fun
can't
of me.
come to see to hear that cough.
My wife's like, you have a cold. Suck it up. Be a man. I'm like,
yeah, no kidding.
like dying. Anyway, 74-65 loss. Jaden Ledee, 21.7 rebounds. Reese Waters, I thought was really good, 15 points. Lamont Butler, early success. I think he had 2 threes early. San Diego State's bench, we've talked about it. Darion Trammell, he finished with 7 points, by the way, in 22 minutes. I don't take anything away from the other night other than like, it's encouraging. Of course, you want to win. It's not like a moral thing. Hey, we hung tough with BYU, but I watched the game literally courtside for 35 minutes. San Diego State was every bit of BYU. They just ran out of gas in those final 5 minutes. Give credit to BYU as well. But I think it's something to build off. It's a loss. Let's see what they look like tomorrow night.
You're now 4-31 all time in Provo.
Yep.
It was going to be tough to win there. It just was. It's the second game of the season.
Yep.
This is not the 32nd game of the season. They're gonna get better. That's the MO of a Dutch led team. They always play their best basketball, second half of the season into March. That's what you want. You got to make sure that you stay healthy, figure out rotations. Even though there's a lot of returning players from last year's national championship run, this is still a new team.
Yeah.
But the encouraging things are, like you said, their starting 5, fantastic. Their bench is going to be a work in progress. I think it's going to be interesting to find out what they do with Darion once he gets to full strength and how they're going to manage that situation. Are they going to have him come off the bench?
I think he'll start.
Are they going to put him in the starting lineup? And then who goes to the bench? Is it Reese Waters?
Nah.
Or is it Elijah Saunders?
I would guess Elijah. I think you go smaller. I mean, Darion Trammell's 5th-year player, most outstanding player in the South Regional.
You starting?
He started.
You started.
I would think. Now, again, he's got to build up his fitness.
Yeah.
So it could take a couple games.
So they're still working on a lot of things. And they could have came home with a victory on Friday night. This is not an easy game, but they were in it most of the way.
Yep.
I said Reese Waters just because he is the defending 6th man of the year
True.
in Pac-12, so he already knows how to come off the bench.
Maybe it's a role that fits him. That's
Maybe.
a good point.
Yeah. And they need scoring from that bench, too.
They will. They will. Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer. They've got you covered for all your game day needs, featuring organic farm fresh produce and meats, an amazing craft beer selection, plus a full deli with award-winning sandwiches. Visit windmillfarmsmarket.com to see their weekly specials. Shop local. Shop at Windmill Farms. Jim's back page. Next. Jim's back page plus coaching candidates for SDSU next. All right, Kirk Kenny, UT. Let's just read the entire article.
I know you will the second the show ends.
San Diego State will conduct a national search for its new football coach. Here are 10 names that could work. I'll just give you the names.
Okay.
All right. SDSU ties. You've got Tony White, Nebraska defensive coordinator. Ryan Lindley, current OC. Zach Arnett, just fired by Mississippi State, took over from Mike Leach.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a former DC. Offensive minds, Kingsbury. Brian Lindgren, Oregon State's OC. They've had an amazing year. Ryan Grubb, Washington's OC. They've had an amazing year. Heisman frontrunner there.
Yep.
Will Stein, Oregon's OC. They've had an amazing year.
Yeah.
Brian Harsin, former head coach at Boise State, rumored potentially to be in line in Boise. They've got an opening. Sean Lewis, he was the Colorado offensive coordinator. It was going beautifully for a half season. He was then demoted to like co-offensive coordinator. That's an interesting name.
Ed
from Colorado.
Yeah.
So he left the Kent State head coach job to take the OC job for Dion.
I know.
Then was demoted. That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
And then the wild card, Jimbo Fisher. I mean, he was in the midst of a $100 million deal.
Yeah. And Cliff Kingsbury's also on there.
Yeah, I said Kingsbury.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Anyway, that's kind of like
that's a summary of what
we've talked about. Like, hey, can we get an Excel sheet from JD on who the like got the San Diego ties, got the offensive side, got the defensive, got the wild
NFL,
card, the big
college,
NFL. You know, it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting, and I think as of right now, if you're an Aztecs fan, the season has not been fun. You thank Brady for what he did accomplish here, and now you start to get over the next couple of weeks, you'll start getting excited.
Yeah,
because
you'll hear some names.
Yeah, you'll hear names, and news is always exciting. It's just this hire is so important.
It is.
It is. What's this? This is a good rap question.
Ooh, Padres manager or Aztecs head coach?
Yeah, which one's a more important hire? Ooh. The Aztecs coach or the Padres manager?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
That's tomorrow's show. All right, let's get to it.
They should hire Lou Holtz.
John Madden. All right, so if this is a story that Brent sent me. It's a Pokemon story.
I love Pokemon.
Pokemon and Tiffany, the like jewelry company.
Tiffany's. It's not just like some woman.
Tiffany and Co.
Yeah. Okay.
Have teamed up to release a series of Pokemon jewelry with the most expensive piece costing $29,000.
Congratulations, Aaron.
Here's a Pikachu gold necklace that cost me 13 grand.
Right. Forget about the wedding.
Yeah. Here's a
your engagement ring is now was it Team Rocket?
Yeah. Here's a Pokeball for you that's worth $30,000. Who would buy that?
I was gonna say, what's the audience?
Rich
people with women that are dating people, women that are into that.
Sure, it's got to be someone. It's got to be one somewhere, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a weird
combo.
Weird combo to have.
I'd rather see like Tiffany's. An NFL collection.
I'm sure they do have one.
Okay.
I think Tiffany has made some like championship rings or something.
Oh, that's true.
For
would you buy Aaron an in-season tournament bracelet?
By the way, in the in-season tournament, it's stupid.
It's getting worse.
It's like
because it's hard to
irrelevant. Like what? Like tonight's an in-season tournament game for the Warriors, or no, tomorrow night, and Steph's questionable because he like it's stupid.
Yeah, but you got to go. If it's a tournament game, you got to go.
If he doesn't play tomorrow night, then
Legacy.
Then Legacy talk will be on the line.
Right.
Tiffany's fun fact, since you were talking about them, they actually do make the NFC and AFC championship trophies.
Okay,
so there you go. The screen matched light up C-3PO head.
Oh, I saw that
from Star Wars: New Hope in 1977. It's collectible. From the collection of Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO in all the Star Wars.
He sold all of his stuff.
What do you mean he played him? He was like a robot.
Yeah,
he's not a real robot, John. I hate to break the illusion of movies, but it's not a real robot.
Sold at an auction for guess how much?
People are obsessed with this stuff. $1 million.
Brent, do you know the answer?
I do, but I don't remember it. I read it.
$843,000.
Basically, close to $1 million.
Close to $1 million. That's crazy.
Would you rather have that or the Pokemon bling?
Oh, no question. The C-3PO head.
C-3PO?
Not even a question about that.
Don't worry. Yeah, Aaron. Sorry, hon. Had a chance to buy this Pokemon ball of fire or whatever it's called. What'd you call it?
Pokeball to catch the Pokemon.
You're like Jack that came home with the beans instead of like the milk. You're like, no, honey, I didn't get this. Instead, I got you this Pokemon.
Yeah,
thing.
isn't it cool? She's like, oh, damn it.
All right, join us tomorrow at 3 p.m.
We're broke.
We're going to get you ready for San Diego State, Long Beach State. We're going to broadcast live outside Viejas Arena. Tip-off 7 p.m. tomorrow night. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify. Find us on YouTube. Search for Jon and Jim 760. Find us on social media at Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. I'm going to go get some meds.
That's good.
For Brent and Jim, I'm John. We'll catch up tomorrow at 3 right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.